Hello everyone and welcome to Cherries Red Army YouTube channel. It's Friday night and we're here for another match preview. AFC Bournemouth prepare to take on QPR at Loftus Road tomorrow afternoon, and we've got two exciting guests for you. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also like as we go through the show. We've got opposition fans joining us, which is great to hear, and AFC Bournemouth regular fans as well. Let's hear your thoughts and chat within the box, and I'll show as many comments throughout the show. Shall we do it? Let's get on with the show and let's get our first guest on. An AFC Bournemouth fan, a popular person that you would have seen on a match day when we were allowed to go. Please welcome Mike Botto. How are you?
Okay, I'm very well, mate. Yeah, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. And firstly, how are you doing? How is your, commitment to the club and your role been since COVID? We got a little bit of football action in the two games, sort of in December. But how's it been for you delivering that role?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm very, very fortunate, I guess. I feel very privileged that I still get to go and watch the boys play and do my stuff as I kind of, to some degree, ordinarily would. So yeah, I get to go and watch the games, cheer the boys on. Actually, I'm one of the few people that can actually stand there and give shouts of encouragement. So to be there is fantastic. But as everyone knows and everyone says, it'll just be great to have everybody back in the stadiums before too long.
I feel a bit under pressure. You're a bit of a pro here, but there is already some love coming through in the chat, so it's great to hear. So with this match preview then, we always start off, Mike, with looking back at our previous match, and that was on Wednesday against Rotherham. Wasn't a clinical performance, a good goal that we scored. We got the job done, which was the most important thing, and 3 points on the board. What's your thoughts on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think you sum it up pretty well. I think it's another one of those games, and we've had quite a few of late, where teams have dug in and have worked really hard against us and have made life difficult. But we found a way, and we managed the game, I thought, really well in the last 10 to 15 minutes. I fully expected an onslaught in the last 10. We sat quite deep, but actually we managed the game really well, and I didn't feel massively tense or nervous that we'd slip up and drop points. So a good solid performance. One of those games we were probably unlikely to see fast flowing, exciting football because of the way that Rotherham set up. And, we can be grateful for the 3 points and move on to the next one, I guess.
Woodgate's been saying in every press conference, he's just taking it one game at a time. And with us sitting in 6th and keeping that points distance between us and 7th, he's just doing what he's been asked to do.
Yeah, he is, and he's very popular with the players, is my understanding. Obviously, with COVID, maybe you don't know, but there are certain zones within the stadium. Normally, I'd have tunnel access, and I'd have a few words with Eddie previously. But actually, since COVID came along, I've not been anywhere near the tunnel. So even Jason, I wasn't able to talk to Jason on match days. I didn't say congratulations to Jason in person. I didn't, kind of send my commiserations, I guess, when he moved on. And it's been the same with Woody. He's come in and I've, given him a nod and a cheer at the end of the game. But that's the only kind of mixing I've had with Woody. But really happy with the job he's done in quite testing circumstances. And I think the players, you've seen Lewis Cook has come out in the press today in an interview with the Echo and said that he'd be perfectly happy if Woodgate got the job, and that speaks volumes. So. I'm really pleased with the job that he's done, and it's my hope that he'll stick around in some capacity moving forward, because actually his knowledge of our squad and of the league, I've been surprised by it. And really impressed by it. So fair play to him, and a big thank you to him, that no matter what happens next.
And 2 clean sheets now for Jonathan Woodgate and the team. And when we look back to our first league game against QPR, was a draw in a 0-0 as well. What's your recollection of that game where we took a point away at home?
Yeah, well, my recollection of that game, my recollections are few and far between. In all honesty, it's a game that I think I've probably written off. I imagine it wasn't a classic 0-0. I recall very little about the game at all, Kirk, if I'm being perfectly frank with you. I've been intrigued to hear from our guest later on as to the style of play they adopt, because I'm hoping they're not one that sit in like Rotherham and Birmingham and the like have done.
Okay, so let's also take a look at the press conference that Woodgate held today. He talked about, or he was asked about player availability. Fortunately, there's no fresh injury concerns, so we still have no Solanke, no Steve Cook, and no Jack Stacey. But I suppose that's a bit of a result to get out of Rotherham with no extra players picking up any injuries.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at the bench that we put out on Wednesday night, there were lots of options to come in off the bench and change a game. And to solidify it as well if need be. So I think the strength is pretty decent, and like you say, to come through unscathed and have no more additions to that injury list, we'll take that, I guess.
And I've always said this all season. I mean, Phil Billings showing his worth lately and being rewarded for his performances. Is it always a good thing that you've got such a talented squad when you can only pick 11?
Well, I think you'd rather have that as a manager. You'd rather have the options, and if you can keep everybody happy, that's the big challenge, isn't it? And you've seen players come off the bench and make an impact. So you would think that whilst they're not happy to be on the bench, of course they're not. Morale looks pretty decent in and around the squad, and to have players to come off and make an impact as they invariably have done throughout the season, actually. Is no bad thing.
Brilliant to hear, Mike. Right, we're going to get our opposition guest in now. So we have a QPR fan and talking Rangers on YouTube, and that is Charlie. How are you, Charlie?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on, lads.
No worries. And do you want to just tell us a bit about what you do on YouTube for your club?
Yeah, so QPR YouTube channel. We do live watch-alongs. They can get a bit heated and a bit excited, but no, good fun match. Match reviews, sort of a mixed bag, but lots of QPR content.
You also played on Wednesday night against Brentford, and
Ivan
Toney clocked his 24th goal of the season, but he didn't have the final laugh. That guy that I'm slightly worried about and always worried about got the winner in Charlie Austin. 2-1 win for you. Tell us a bit about that game.
Don't need to say anymore. It's been about, I think, nearly 5 back-to-back defeats to Brentford, and QPR finally get one back on them. It was a long time coming, but it was a bit of a smash and grab. First half, they were the much better side. But out of nowhere, we kind of just came back with 2 goals. Surprised me, surprised a lot of QPR fans, but a fantastic result. And just to continue on for some phenomenal form, QPR have hit lately 5 wins from 6. And I hate to say it, but I'm hoping it's going to be 6 wins from 7 come Saturday.
Did I see that you call them bus stop? Is that right, Charlie?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, some people say it's West London derby, but they're not. They're just a small little club in Hounslow.
Okay.
And looking back to that 0-0 where you came to Vitality and got a draw, I think probably looking back, you probably could have got the winner if one of the teams was going to get it.
Yeah, we came out that one scratching our heads thinking, we didn't really get a result. I mean, it wasn't exactly a QPR whitewash, but I did think QPR the better side. I'm trying to take my QPR hat off there, but no, 0-0. It was a close game. I think it was probably one of QPR's sort of bigger tests. I think the game was in October, so certainly one of the sort of the challenging games we came up against, and sort of finding out about that QPR side that year. But no, I did think we deserved to get the 3 points in that one. But it was quite a cagey game. I remember both sides kind of took a while for it to get going. QPR probably had the better chances, but hopefully it'll be a bit more of an exciting one on Saturday than it was back in October.
You know, I think sitting in 16th place, I don't think you hit the ground running from my understanding. What's the reason for that? I mean, losing Eze, did that play a part?
Yeah, Eze was a big personnel. He did a lot for QPR last year's goals, assists, a lot of movement on and off the ball that created space for other attacking players. But the likes of Naki Wells, Jordan Hugill, other big players that brought a lot of goals to that QPR side. QPR started the season not scoring any goals, to be perfectly honest, not taking any chances. We tightened up a little bit at the back compared to last season, but like I say, you don't score goals, you don't get points on the board. We weren't winning games, and with the likes of Charlie Austin come back in the club now, we've had a bit of a resurgence, change formation, and we're looking a lot better of late.
And as you say, it looks like you had a wretched December. I think you had no wins in 9, but then you've turned a corner and you've now won 5 in the last 6, scoring 8 goals. What is the difference? Is it Charlie Austin?
That's a big factor. It's a big factor. Kind of the confidence that he installed on and off the pitch has been infectious for a lot of the side. Our attacking players, our other strikers we brought in to replace the likes of some of the big players we lost last year, Macaulay, Bonne and Lyndon Dykes have really been lacking confidence, not scoring enough goals. And Charlie Austin's just, we've seen big improvements in those two just from Charlie Austin coming in. But Mark Warburton, to give him some credit, he has changed up. We were playing a 4-2-3-1 that we played for a long time now. We changed to a 5-2-1-2. We've been a lot sturdier at the back, and Sonny Dieng this season has been instrumental for us. So yeah, it's been a couple of factors, but Charlie Austin's definitely been a big one.
Does that sound a bit similar to us, Mike? That formations, tactics, just been up, been played around a little bit?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure that Jason ever really knew his best team, and I know that you pick an 11 for the with the opposition in mind as well, but. Yeah, a lack of partnerships, I think, is really key. If you look at Bournemouth teams down the years that have had success, there have been partnerships all over the pitch. And for whatever reason, we don't seem to have been able to establish them as well as we'd like this season. So, yeah, I think we have settled on a 4-2-3-1 ourselves now, funnily enough. But yeah.
And we'll come to that later when we try and see what Woodgate's going to do tomorrow. Charlie, I've got a couple of stats for you. I'm known for my stats at Bournemouth. Now, in those 8 goals that you've scored in your recent form, and your form guide's pretty good, you're second in the form guide from the league point of view, but you've scored 1 goal in the first half, and the last time, and that was against Luton, and you scored 6 out of those 8 goals after 70 minutes. You seem to come alive in the last 20. Why?
Interesting. Didn't realise that myself, but... yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a never too late sort of attitude. Yeah, to be honest, caught me off guard. Sometimes we always start the second half quite slowly. Sometimes, yeah, it's a good question, but we are slow starters in the second half. A lot of times, we go towards the tail end of the first half, gain a bit of momentum, and sometimes it really blows back into the wind, and the opposition sometimes take the game to us in the second half. So yeah, maybe that's a factor. I think, to be honest, we don't really score a lot of goals. So yeah, that's a very good question. You caught me off guard with that one. I don't really know what else to say.
Have you got quite a young squad there, Charlie? Maybe they've got their legs on some of the teams around them.
Yeah, we do have. We do have quite a young side. Last year we had an even younger side, but we brought in a couple more experienced personnel. We kind of balanced it a little bit more. But yeah, we do have a young side. We're trying to play into our academy, and sort of, because we don't really have the funds available with like the bigger sides like yourselves in the league. So yeah, we're kind of utilizing the low market, bringing in some.
It still feels really surreal having a QPR fan talking about Bournemouth like as the big side.
Yeah,
I know we've been in the Premier League for 5 years, but it still feels really surreal. Sorry, carry on.
No, that's what. Does it worry you a little bit, Mike, that there's enough incentives for Charlie Austin to have a good game tomorrow?
Yeah, he's not a player I've ever really enjoyed coming up against. I remember being at Loftus Road. I think it was our first season in the Championship, actually, and we lost, and Charlie Austin scored a brace, and we were giving him some stick, and he wasn't afraid to give some stick back. Yeah, I mean, he's a talismanic figure, isn't he? His return reminds me a little bit of when Fletch returned to Bournemouth when we were in League Two and the -17 season. That, yeah, he seems to have galvanised the squad. It's not very often a player comes in and does that. Normally it's a change of manager, but he's obviously got a real affinity to the club, and the club have a real affinity for him. So
definitely,
yeah, I am nervous, but I'm also confident in our defence. You know, the partnership we've had over the last couple of games of Lloyd Kelly and Carter Vickers have been pretty solid there, and I'm reasonably confident we can keep him quiet. We'll see.
Okay, before we let you go, Charlie, what do you see Warburton doing tomorrow to try and get you 3 points, and what's your score prediction?
Oh, good question. I can see him sort of sticking with this 5-2-1-2 formation, even though I've been a little bit critical of it in the last couple of games. Kind of with 5 at the back and 2 up top, it leaves us very light in midfield. So it would not surprise me if you guys dominated the midfield tomorrow. But I think I see it being a close one. QPR, we're going into this one with full confidence. Brentford have always been our bogey side. It's always one that kind of gets the fans down and gets the players down, because we always seem to lose to them. But you know, it's finally one we've We got them back. So, like I say, we're going to be going into this one with confidence. We're going to be with real belief that we can get something from this game. So, I see it being a tough one for yourselves, and back-to-back home wins for QPR. I don't know. Could it be a third? I'm not so sure. Maybe a draw. I'm feeling a draw for this one.
One of your fans think there'll be a Charlie Austin hat-trick. I hope not. Charlie, it's been great to have you on, though. I appreciate you doing this. Charlie's details for his YouTube and Twitter are in the description for anyone who wants to check that out. Enjoy the game tomorrow, Charlie, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. Some interesting stuff there, Mike. Anything that caught your ears or caught your eye?
Well, I think it's interesting, that they went 9 games without a win and stuck with Warburton, which takes some doing in this day and age, as we've seen ourselves. It doesn't take long in terms of a sticky patch for, and maybe not having a crowd in has helped him in that respect, for fans to turn on the management and look for a change. I don't know. I think I would have liked to have known how they struggle defensively. There are certain teams that struggle with pace. There are certain teams that struggle with physicality, and I'm not quite sure what the identity is that QPR have. They're not a club. I can't really pitch them in any one place. Maybe they're a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah. Right, we're going to get into our final part of the show in just a moment, but make sure that you like this video. Appreciate your support. That's right, Rich. Let's get some likes going. Also subscribe if you haven't already. You can also follow us on Twitter to hear our latest news and any content that's coming out. So follow @CherriesRedArmy. That's the easiest place to know what's going on inside YouTube. You can also sponsor us if you wish to. It really helps towards the platforms that we use. You can follow this link. Any sponsorship is very welcome, and the details are also in the description. We got to put ourselves in Woodgate's shoes now, Mike, and it's time for us to do this. Okay, so we're going to try and predict, Mike, what Jonathan Woodgate will do tomorrow. Now, 4-2-3-1 seems to be a constant theme throughout his caretaker role, and Begovic in goal, probably captain as well. So they're in there. You happy with that?
Yeah. Very happy with that.
And if we move to the right-hand side of this, I think it's probably going to be Smith with Stacey out, and with Carter Vickers having two man-of-the-match performances. I can see them two starting on the right side of defence. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I thought for me, there were a few nominations on Wednesday, but for me, Adam Smith was another match. I thought he had a really, really good game going forward as well as defensively. And Cameron has come in and has done such a solid job. I personally hope that we see him signing on long term. I think he's been fantastic in every game he's played. He's not let us down. So, yeah, those two for me are starters for sure.
And as we go through this predicted lineup, let us know what your thoughts are for the team, and let us know if you agree or disagree. And fill in that defence for me, Mike. Who are you going for alongside Carter Vickers?
Yeah, well, we know that Cookie is out. Meps is coming back to fitness, but I suspect he might be eased back in. So I thought we saw the starts of I was talking about partnerships earlier on. I thought we saw the start of a really useful partnership there in the centre of defence between Lloyd Kelly and Carter Vickers. So I would definitely be playing Kelly there, which leaves us Rico to be playing left back.
And I think Rico's actually been okay the last few games from a defensive point of view. He's tried his best to get himself in attacking positions. It's just that final ball's just letting him down this season.
Yeah, and that can be a confidence issue. We've seen he's got great delivery actually going forward. And we've seen it on set plays as well. And yeah, sometimes you're just not in the groove. But like you say, defensively, he has been a lot more solid the last couple of games.
Now it gets a little bit harder. So we brought in Ben Pearson in January. I think he probably started on the bench because of the ankle injury, or the slight ankle injury he picked up in the previous game. But to pick two out of those three between him, Lerma and Lewis Cook, who are you going for?
Yeah, I think given that we're away and given that a QPR are in form, I think he'll play two holders there. I'd be surprised if he played Cook. So for me, I think Cook possibly drops out. Despite the kind words he said about the manager, I think he probably drops out and he probably goes with Pearson and Lerma. But that's my take.
And Jeff Lerma, who seemed to have a little bit of a different game or a bit of a different edge to his game at the start of the season under Jason Tyndall. He then struggled in a spell, and now he seems to be himself, the player that we brought in, the player that Eddie brought in. Do you see that Lerma's a bit more himself the last few games?
I think you're right in saying that he's the Lerma that we saw under Eddie. Kind of a box-to-box player, will put his foot in, will do the hard graft. I quite liked him in an advanced role. I thought that was actually quite a shrewd move from JT when he dropped Cook deeper and played Lerma maybe just behind the front two. I thought that was quite an interesting take, and it did have, came to good effect in games like Coventry and Birmingham. But I thought he had one of his best games in a Bournemouth shirt on Wednesday night. I thought he was excellent.
And when you've got a player like Jack Wilshere in your team, you think, how can I not pick Jack Wilshere? But Philip Billing has just turned into a different player in the last month. When you're looking at that position, how do you pick Philip Billing over Jack Wilshere?
I think for me, the difference is if you're playing those two holders, if you're playing Pearson and Lerma, you've got to have some creativity in there somewhere. If you're playing Cook as one of those two, I could see that you make a case for Phil Bill for sure. But I think, if you're playing those two, and who knows what he'll do, but if you're playing those two, I would play Jack behind the front player. Yeah, the front one.
As we move forward to the forward three, and we'll go to the right, a player that, again, David Brooks, that should be setting the world alight, hasn't quite done it, but we know he's got the talent. Does he start there, or do you play someone else?
So this is a really tough one, because it's not really about what I do; it's about what we're expecting Woody to do.
That's right.
I expect that he'll play Danjuma and Stan out wide.
Okay.
I would quite like to see Danjuma down the middle, personally. Depending, again, it depends. It's very much looking at the opposition and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But I wouldn't mind seeing Danjuma given a run down the middle. But I think he will play Danjuma and Stan. He likes Danjuma. He's talked very, very positively about him. You could see that Arnaut was not happy when he came off on Wednesday. I don't know if that came across on the TV, but he came and sat not far in front of me as he came off, and he was not happy at being subbed. And I think he would, he cut a pretty frustrated figure. But Woody really, really rates him, and we know what he can do. So I think those are the two that he'll play out wide.
I think the thing with Danjuma is that I'm finding when he hugs the touchline and he gets doubled up, he sort of does too much or just holds on to it a little bit too much. But when we find him in pockets between the fullback and the centre back, that's where he hurts teams. And he's one of those players that can be frustrating for 75 minutes, but just score an absolute screamer and win you the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That little bit of magic. And, if you look at that team, if you're looking for a bit of magic, that's where it comes from. Without that, you've only really got Jack as backup, and that's why, as good as Billing has been, and he's been excellent in the last few weeks, I think you need those couple of players with that spark. I think he'll go Wilshere and Danjuma.
We've got one position left for a striker. So we've got Sam Surridge, who's really done nothing wrong this season, but every time he's come off the bench, he's made an impact. He's made a difference, and he had a brilliant game again. I thought the other night, didn't stop running. But we have got a player in Shane Long who has experience. He's come on loan from Southampton for a reason, and that's to play football matches. Who does Woodgate pick?
Well, I think he has come on loan, Longy, to play football matches, but he's got to earn the right. And not that he did anything dramatically wrong against Forest, but I think that Surridge offers you that bit more at the moment. We're yet to see really from Longy, so it's hard to say, but he put in a real shift, as ever did Sam on Wednesday, and I think he probably warrants a starting spot, and I think he probably will start. But look, Shane Long's not a bad player to have come off your bench.
No, definitely not. And we didn't really talk about it because he picks himself. But Asmir Begovic stepped into the captain role with Steve Cook out at the moment, and he's been an absolute leader. For me, I was asked by 442 magazine actually a few weeks ago for my best AFC Bournemouth player so far, and I gave it to Asmir Begovic. And considering the talent we've got out on the outfield, that's some recognition. I mean, just your thoughts on Asmir Begovic this season, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple of ricks, and that can happen. It's happened to the very best keepers, so we can see past that. He has made some brilliant saves that have won us games. If you look at all the teams that have been successful down the years, keepers have won them some serious points. You know, if you think back to, I mean, Schmeichel's the one that comes to mind for United back in the day. You know, he'd won them, you know, a dozen points a season alone in terms of the saves he was making. And Begovic has probably done similar to us already this season. He's kept us in games when really we had no right to be in them. So, and in terms of a leader, like I say, I'm quite privileged that I'm still going to the games, and there are two voices that you hear in the stadium more than any other, and they are Steve Cook and Asmir Begovic, and both of them are exceptional leaders. And he's not afraid to give a rocket to the ref either, Asmir. So yeah. I've been like really impressed on all levels of Asmir this season. Chuffed to bits for it.
So that's our predicted 11 that we think Woodgate will pick, and a strong team when you look on paper, as always. Some talent on the bench, as you've said. Let us know what you think about that squad lineup. Now, what we'll do is, this is your opportunity to let us know what your score prediction will be. So in the chat, get your predictions in now, and we'll show them on the screen in a bit. I'll also get yours in a minute as well, Mike, before we wrap up the show. Thierry Henry then. Is he in for the Bournemouth job? Is he not? I mean, it's hard to tell. Some media think there's some legs in it. What's your thoughts on Thierry Henry, Mike?
So firstly, I don't have a firm steer one way or the other as to what's happening. So I was sat just along from Neil Blake and Jeff Mostyn on Wednesday. My box was next to their box. And I stopped short because the news had broken that afternoon that we were in for him. And I stopped short of asking the question. I just said to him at the end of the game, you know, you got a big couple of days, Neil, make good choices, all the very best with it, and left it at that. I've seen a lot of negativity on social media over the past few days. And like everybody else, I've been just refresh. Have I got a text come through? Is there anything on Twitter? I've seen a lot of negativity, regardless of who the potential appointment is. I understand the reservations there are for Henry, but I am genuinely very excited by it. And not because I'm aware that he's a master tactician, and I know that his record is poor, but I just think if you're a player and Thierry Henry walks in, your jaw drops. Like as a manager, you've got to be at least one of two things. You've got to be either inspirational, or you've got to be a tactician. We were very, very blessed that Eddie was both of those things. He had players that would run through brick walls for him, and he had us playing the best football any of us have ever seen in our lifetime. If he can do one of those things and be inspirational, we're halfway there. And I think he will. I think he'll inspire a dressing room. And I think if we do get up, the level of player we attract with Thierry Henry in the hot seat is different to the level of player we might attract with some of the other candidates. Whoever we go for, they'll have my backing 100%. And I'm not like campaigning for Thierry Henry, but if it happens, I'm certainly not negative about it. He has my support, and I'm optimistic.
I think I'm with you as well. If Dan Juma and Brooksy can't lift their game for someone like Henry, then I don't think they're going to play at the elite level. So I'm with you. Right, let's get some scores on the table, shall we say. So, Rich Neal, thanks for joining us tonight. We've got a 2-1 win away. Chris Hubble, how are you doing? It's been ages since I've seen you, Chris. You normally sit about 4 or 5 seats away from me. So, hope you're doing well, Chris. 2-1. Cameron Meach, 2-1. There seems to be a theme here. Mike. Steve's gone for a 1-1, take a draw, keep that distance between 7th, and Daniel as well with an Adam Smith penalty. Not even sure Junior would let him have it, Daniel, but good luck with that. Mark Cole, 2-1. How you doing, Mark? Ed, 3-0. Some confident scores coming through. We got a 2-0. What else have we got? John, how you doing? 2-1. Also got 3-2 here as well, and we've got a 2-2 from AFCB Dom 9. Wish he was playing tomorrow, but yeah, got that right. Mike, what are you hoping to see tomorrow? I hope you enjoy the game, but what's your score prediction?
Well, I'm hoping to see a win. Of course I am. But given their form and given not that I remember it, but that we had a scrappy 0-0 at our place. I'm going to go for a draw, maybe a score draw, maybe one apiece.
And I do know what, I was going to thank you and just tell you how great you were, but I'll just let a few people tell you. Chris said you've been absolutely fantastic, Mike. Sammy, Mike, John, Mike, a great choice of guest. Got to get him on again then, I reckon, guys. Been absolutely fun. Mike, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And we'll hope to get you on future shows if you're interested.
Of course, mate. Yeah, no problem.
I've got a 3-1 here as well. I'm hoping that's a Bournemouth win. Enjoy the rest of your evening then, Mike.
You too, mate.
Enjoy, obviously, all the stuff you're doing for Bournemouth, and we hope to see you in person as soon as we can.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks, Kirk.
Catch you soon. Thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. Thank you again. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. If you didn't see it last night, check out the interview with Neil Young. It's very interesting, really enjoyable. So check that out on the channel as well. We've got lineups live coming 45 minutes before kickoff, and there'll be a post reaction as well. Your football weekend started here. I hope you have a good day tomorrow. We're going to win. Make sure you follow on Twitter as well. Oh, it's been a great night. Some great guests. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you soon. Up the cherries.